So you want to know how to grow your photography brand, how to scale your business. Maybe there's some challenges that you've had that you just cannot overcome that are standing in the way between 10xing your growth, and I want to help you. I'm going to go over some of the most common problems and challenges. Some are mental challenges, some are business challenges, some are industry challenges. I'm going to go over some challenges that are very common, that are easy to overcome if you have the right guidance. And hopefully this video will be able to help you learn a little bit, even if it's just one thing. Hopefully one thing can help you pivot and accelerate in the right direction to help grow your business. My name is Tony Martinez. If you're watching this and you do not know me, I have been a still photographer for over 10 years, 15 years, and I'm an entrepreneur, a content creator, and an investor. A lot of the core of what I do revolves around media production, specifically still photography, and still photography is the foundation of everything that I've built from this point on. And I have generated most of my revenue with still photography, shooting portraits, events, commercial stills for agencies, and I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, I've seen and experienced good brand building and bad brand building, and I know what works and what doesn't work. I've built several subsectors of businesses within the photography niche. One of our most successful sub niches is a wedding photo and video company. Our second best brand is a headshot portrait studio located just down the street from me. And the third subsector of photography that we are hired for most is for event coverage. So there's many different, I would say, like categories that you can make money in with photography, and whichever category you're operating in, the business concepts are pretty much the same. In business, business is business. You grow from marketing and sales. That's pretty much it. You need to have a good product and a good service, but in business, your business grows if you're doing good at marketing and if you're doing good at sales. So most of the problems, actually, that most photographers' problems, when their goal is to grow their brand, they can actually, and mark my word on this, they can actually almost always be solved with better marketing or better sales. And they go hand in hand. Marketing and sales cures all, and it's easier to focus on different problems within your business when you have revenue, and revenue comes in from marketing and sales. So let's just jump in. So the first thing, the most common thing that I hear with photographers looking to grow their photography brand is they feel like they don't know enough people. They don't know enough people. If only more people know me, they would hire me for XYZ, because I have a good product, I have a good service, I do good business, but I just don't know enough people. And I would say, you're right. I would say that there used to be an old saying, it's not about to succeed, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And that evolved as social media expanded and blew up. That evolved to, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. It's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So your network, you could say your network is a combination of who you know and who knows you. And you want that network to be expanding often, frequently. And you must be intentional with how you do so. So your network could be expanded by going to church and talking to new people at church, If you go to a school, if you go to a university, a college, meeting new people at school, talking to new people at clubs. If you're someone who likes going to actual formal business networking events, mixers or whatever it is, attending those events and making sure you're greeting at least 10 to 20 people and talking to them and getting to know them so that you have the opportunity to share what you do, who you are and what you do. Being intentional with expanding your network, I can guarantee you will solve a lot of your marketing issues, because word of mouth, especially for local service businesses, photography is local service. A majority of photographers serve the local market within them, maybe an hour radius around them, 2 hours radius around them. A majority of photographers will do most of their business like that. And because of that, the fuel that will create an inferno for your business is conversations and meeting new people. And so if you want to expand your network for a local service business, you got to meet more people. You got to meet them and talk to them, and that's not easy for everyone. I would even argue that half of the people on earth, that sounds miserable. Actually, I love my wife, but I married the complete opposite of who I am. And that's a miserable thing to imagine, going somewhere to make small talk with someone and get to know other people and be in a social environment that feels a little bit stressful and might induce some anxiety. That's a normal feeling for half of people, I believe. So that's something that you need to overcome if your goal is to expand your network or marry someone to, go send off to the events to go do it for you. Now that's like the hand-to-hand combat best way to do it. However, it's 2026. You don't have to leave your house. You can actually expand your network online with social media, with content creation. Actually, you could probably expand your network without creating a single piece of content. However, I wouldn't advise that, because you want people to be able to get to know you without you having a conversation, putting in the work to having a conversation with them. So imagine you have a platform, you pull up Instagram. Instagram is one of my favorite apps. It's the one that I grew 5 years ago, one of the fastest accounts I grew. My TikTok, I grew a little bit faster because things spread a little bit faster on TikTok. But I realized that at the time, 300-something thousand followers on TikTok versus 100,000 followers on Instagram. Instagram had a higher quality of interaction and engagement. And I always say, invest in the meta platforms. Facebook and Instagram are really good for doing business. TikTok has a younger generation. Yeah, people are doing business. There's an older generation on TikTok too. And people are doing business on TikTok, and you can get more known on TikTok. But if your goal is local service, focus on Facebook, Facebook and Instagram. And that's probably all you really need. That's my advice, because that's how I did it. Obviously, I'm biased. But my point is, if your goal is to get to know someone, and say I have multiple accounts on here. Let's say they have a fresh account and they land on your account. Say you're not someone who's comfortable posting content. You're not comfortable going to events, and you're not comfortable posting content. And when people come to your account page, it's empty. How are they supposed to know who you are, what you do, what you have to offer? If you're in business, you got to get that stuff down packed. You do. You have to get that stuff down packed. You need to be able to have someone get to know you without having a full-blown conversation. So if they land on an account that's active, they're seeing, first off, I really must say, in the photo industry, as a photographer, your work is your content. You're not a plumber, right? Think about this. If you were a plumber, you would need to film yourself or shoot yourself doing the plumbing in order to advertise and post content on your socials. Your work as a photographer is your content. So hopefully it's good. But it's not, you have it the easiest out of any industry on the planet. Think about it. Think about all the other industries, all the other job occupations that require the extra step of creating content around their product or around their service. Your product and your service is your content. So there is zero excuse that you should not be posting as much as possible. Zero excuse. And your product, your content is the bare minimum. You should also be posting things about yourself. Post things that allow people to see who you are and they get to know you and feel a connection towards you. You should post things that are not just your work, but of you working. There are so many different things that you can do with your content, but just know that your bare minimum is already taken care of because your product and your service is your content. So I went on a tangent there to explain that you need to expand your network because it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. And if you're not going to be going out to events in person, shaking hands, which I do recommend, but if you're not going to do it, you need to post on social media. You need to do it frequently. And you have to audit your work. You need to ask people who are doing better business than you and ask them if your stuff is good and if it's not, what you should improve. Because if you have a good product and a good service, there's zero reason that your business shouldn't grow, that your business should not be growing. And if it's not growing, you might need someone to give you some hard feedback. Say, hey, your color corrections are super saturated and they don't appeal to a mass market. They don't appeal to a majority of the market who hire for this type of work. Your work is too stylistic and trendy. You get the point. You need some feedback from people and take everyone's insight with a grain of salt, but gain feedback in order to learn why you might not be growing if you are posting consistently and you're not seeing growth in your business. I think that number one, how do I grow my brand? I would always say expand your network. How do you do so? Go to events and meet people, talk to people, not just one person, not just two people, not just 5 people, talk to 10, talk to 20. If you're not going to do that, post on social media. That way, when your stuff gets in front of people's faces, that way, when you do meet someone and you can't have an in-depth conversation with them, you can tell them, hey, just follow me and then check out my stuff. They can get a sense of everything they need to learn right there. And then you're sold. Think about that. Imagine them being sold before you have to talk to them. Okay, number 2. Why can't I spell? I was never good at spelling. Pricing confidence. This is super common. This is an extremely common thing that a lot of photographers deal with because when you're starting out and your brand isn't kicking, when I say your brand isn't kicking, I mean if there's not consistent leads coming in that expect a specific price point, then your brand is just starting and the type of people that are reaching out to you might not understand how much something costs. Or maybe they do and they're just looking for an inexperienced photographer who's growing their photography business and might not have the most expensive rates because they're just growing. Regardless of what the circumstances are, pricing confidence is a challenge that you can't overcome if you're constantly dealing with individuals who ghost you after you tell them a price, who might even say that's a little pricey. That's a bit much for just some photos. Just some photos. Go take them yourself then. So when you have to take this data in, if you're realizing that there's a large ratio, like a high percentage of people who are ghosting you or pushing back on your rates, then your brand isn't doing a good enough job to justify the business sale, to justify the service price. And what do I mean by that? So what do I mean by brand, by the way? what is brand, right? Brand is the way that people think about you or a business. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's the actual definition of brand, but a brand is what someone thinks about, the way that someone thinks about you, me as Tony Martinez, or you, your photography brand, Jess Photography, whatever it is. The way that they think about your brand will directly correlate with how they respond to you when they learn about pricing. Now, I'm super biased. I didn't start out this way, but now I'm super biased. And let's say for our wedding photography, actually for all of our photography, except for event photography, because it's a little formulaic that has to be built out, it has to be customized every now and then. So other than the event photography business, my portrait photography business and my wedding photography business displays pricing on a pricing page and upon inquiry. I put that up there in order to make sure no one is reaching out to me without knowing the prices, which is helpful. I don't want to be, it's not that I don't want to speak to someone who can't afford our services. It's that I don't want to be put in the position that I'm, and some people don't agree with this, by the way. Some people are like, get that conversation and sell and sell. I'm not really like, that's not the way that I've done business. I don't know if I'll ever do business that way. I only want to do business with those who want to do business with me and that value me and value my brands and that feel that hiring my service or purchasing my product will work for them. And what do I mean by will work for them? If in their heads, they're like, I want someone fun, I want someone professional, I want someone experienced, I want someone with easy work, easy onboarding, blah, 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 blah. Like they have an idea in their head and they find someone, and if that someone's me, they find someone that fits that mold and then they move forward. That's the people I want to work with. I never want to be in a conversation where I'm like, the reason these prices are like this is because we have the highest standards and we have the best equipment and we've been doing this. I don't need to do business that way. If you want to do business that way and help clients walk through client objections, right? I've done sales. I've done I did 4 years of sales for a real estate broker where a majority of the training revolves around handling objections and helping a client walk closer towards a home sale, whether it's purchasing a home or selling a home. And I was never in conversations that felt like I was like manipulating someone, because actually all of the time, whenever I'm doing business with someone, I only ever want to do business with someone who needs my help. And if I can help them, I'll explain how. And if it sounds like it'll work, then we're a good fit. So if someone sees one of my photography brands and they're like, I need someone fun, I need someone professional, I need someone experienced, they land on us and they think, I think that hiring this company would work. I think this brand or this individual would work. That's selling them without having a conversation with them. Sometimes you do need a conversation with them, but most of that can be done on social media and on your website. So all that being said, my pricing for most of my businesses, they're listed. And I do that so that I'm eliminating the time it takes to close a sale. And I'm not wasting any time on conversations that are with people who don't even have the budget. So how do you get there, right? That's the question. How do you get to, like, say you're in wedding photography and you want to be charging maybe like $2,500, $3,500, $4,500 for your wedding packages. First, know this. Under $3,000 is a different breed of wedding. If you're doing business in the market of brides who are spending under $3,000 on their wedding photography, most times they don't care about anything but price. Most times, not all the time. We did a lot of good business with brides. We had a lot of great brides book us at a $2,500 price point. But I would say that once you get in that market above $3,000, the brides are a little more conscientious of the value. They're no longer really caring about the price, so to speak. And so how do you get to, like, say you're like, I'm tired of brides who want $1,000 packages or $2,000 packages. I only want brides who want to spend $3,000 and up on their wedding photographer. And when leads come in, you know, you say, hey, or my package is $3,000, and brides are like, oh, that's crazy. And it ruins your pricing confidence. The question is, how do you improve that? How do you get to that point where you don't need to worry on whether you're worth $3,000 and up or whatever? And these are just examples. I would actually recommend, number one, just put your pricing on your website. You should have a website. All the basics, I didn't go over any of the basic stuff. I'm hoping that, you know, I'm assuming, and you shouldn't assume, but perhaps if you're not able to break past that budget-friendly crowd for your photography brand, perhaps it's because you're not operating like a business. How does a business operate? They have, let me spin this here. A local service business has a Google My Business profile where people can leave reviews after they've done work, they've hired you for work. A real business has a website with an actual URL. Not one of those ghetto free URLs. Anything's better than nothing. But spend $20, $30 on a real freaking URL. Get a real URL. Don't use the hosting platforms like Wix Free, jessicaphotography.com. No, I'm not hiring someone who has a website like that. So you should have a Google My Business page, you should have a website, and you should have social media accounts. Not all of them, you don't need them all up, but social media accounts that are, what's the word I'm looking for? That are active, that have posted recently. I'd say like Facebook and Instagram are like great bare minimums. Just post your work. So when you have these things in order, list your pricing on your website and post your best work on your social. And it's kind of hard as a consumer to be exposed to a slick website, some slick socials, and ever feel like they should be valued less, if that makes sense. You need to get your ducks in a line and think about you're going to an interview. You're not going to wear pajamas to an interview. You want to wear your best wardrobe that makes you look professional. So you want to look professional so that people take you seriously as a business. You're growing a photography brand, maybe you're just an artist, a freelancer, and you want to be known as an artist and a freelancer, like that's fine. Creatives are the worst at business. They really are. Majority of my friends are creatives, and I love each and every one of them. I love helping them do better business. But creatives suck at business. They really do. And God bless, you know, He gifted me with, my grandfather was an entrepreneur, my mom was an entrepreneur, and I was born a creative, but thank God I was born into a family that were kind of business savvy. I learned a lot of what I know in business from family and some mentors and from just doing it the hard way. But if there's one thing I do know that works, is that if you look professional online, it's really hard to dispute. Like, what are your prices? Doesn't make... You'll slowly stop getting inquiries from people like that, because they'll see your stuff and go, I can't afford them. And that's okay. Not everyone's going to be able to afford you once you get into a different pricing tier. So for pricing confidence, first know this. It's never going to go away where you might have some, like, I think 2 weeks ago I had someone reach out and I could say two things about this. One, you shouldn't be doing business over DMs. It's a fine way to get started. I actually made like my first, I remember in 2019, I had a Canon T3i, everyone's starter camera. I stole my older sister's. I had a 50 millimeter 1.8, which was like 99 bucks at the time. I didn't have a flash, and I was doing portrait photography. If you're just growing, I should say this, I didn't know, I'm anticipating and hoping that most of the people watching this video, they've been trying to grow their photography brand for a while. So I didn't really give too many rudimentary like lessons, but if you're really just trying to grow, say you're trying to grow like right now and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I love this phrase, and I should trademark it or something. But all you have to do to grow, in my opinion, this is how I did it, is shoot and share. Do shoots and share it on social media. Share your work on social media. Do shoots and share your work on social media. The world, now this is kind of different now. I mean, I was doing that in 2019. Social media is oversaturated in a good way with more people who are on it and more people who are publishing content. But I still believe that if you just focus on shooting and sharing, you will grow. And if you don't grow, that's feedback. I genuinely think that's feedback. I genuinely think that if you've been shooting every day and sharing your work every day, and people just aren't reaching out for pricing and for, to learn more about how they can hire you, that's feedback. That's telling you something about your work, about your editing style, about your work as a photographer. Most times. Maybe there's some outlier situations where the most impressive photographer and creative photographer who captures the most phenomenal work, maybe there's an outlier where people don't reach out and ask that person if they're available for things to be shot. Maybe, but I kind of doubt it. I really doubt that if your work is good, you won't have someone reaching out. You won't have people reaching out to you frequently asking to hire you or asking for more information, starting a conversation. And that's not to say that your work isn't decent. I think that I'm not the best freaking photographer. That's a great lesson. I'm not the best photographer by a long shot. But I had people in my ear giving me constructive criticism. And then I started following photographers that were growing and developing an eye of what looks good and what looks decent and what's above average, right? Average to above average helps you grow. If you're really above average, you're going to grow quick. So that's why I say if you're not growing, there might be some below average stuff going on. And you should really figure that out. You should be following people who are growing in their photography brand. And don't copy them, but look at their work and say, wow, let me try to incorporate this style into my next shoot. Or let me try to, first off, there's very universal concepts to photography, the rule of thirds. Apply that to all of your work, and I feel like you're going to grow times a billion. There's aesthetic, symmetrical things in photography that are pleasing to the eye. Learn them and execute them because they resonate with humans. So all that being said, if you're just growing, shoot and share. That'll give you feedback immediately if your stuff is good. And if you're not growing, you should assume your stuff isn't good and you should study those who are growing. But the point I was getting at is if all of your ducks are in a row and, don't do business over DMs. So you should always push text messages, phone calls, and DMs to your website. That's mandatory. Flow people to your website. This might sound like, I hope this might not sound like common sense for some people. I hope it's not that way. You have like an aha moment, but it should be eventually. Push people to your website so that people can get a sense of your storefront, learn more, and then inquire and go through a CRM. You should have a CRM. You should have like a formal way to. You should look up a CRM if you don't know what a CRM is. It's basically just a way to manage contacts and data and invoices and contracts and money, you should have a formal CRM, because when you do, consumers go, oh, this is a business. This is more than just a freelancer creative. Don't try to sell in DMs. Don't send a freaking Google form. I get it. When you're starting out, you got to do what you got to do. But if your goal is to get into a higher pricing market, you need to do what the people in that market are doing. They're looking professional. They're using professional software. They're making the customer interaction seamless. The customer onboarding interaction seamless. What do I mean by that? I'm going to tell you, for a wedding photo business, we had our most growth when we implemented a seamless customer interaction. And what do I mean by that? Customers would see us on Instagram. They'd be like, oh, I love that work. Oh, they'd see the work. They'd go, oh, I love that work. They'd click on the website. I love telling this story, by the way. It's one of my favorite things that we've developed. They'd click on check availability. Maybe they go see more work in a full gallery. Maybe they go see FAQs, whatever. They inquire through our CRM. This is an embedded form to CRM. They hit inquire. It would, we use Honeybook. Most wedding companies use Honeybook, but there's Honeybook, there's HubSpot. You could use Go High Level. There's so many CRMs that you could use. And now with AI tools, which I'm not going to get into crazy, you can develop your own CRM. But the potential lead would inquire. They'd submit a form. Upon submission, if their date was available in our CRM calendar, they would receive an automatic email that said, hey, thanks for inquiring. We are available. We'd love to give you more information. These are attached as a brochure. Well, you'll see our photo packages, our video packages. Here are the details about payment options, blah, 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 blah. Select what you want to move forward with and hit submit. Nothing's set in stone when you do that, but after you submit, we'll reach out to talk more if you have any more questions. They go through, they click on photo base package, they click on they want their payments monthly or whatever, they hit submit. It comes to our CRM. Our CRM auto-populates a contract and an invoice, and then it responds, hey, this is what you selected. Do you have any questions before you move forward? If not, you can sign the contract. Read it through, and if you have any questions, let us know. If they didn't have any questions, they'd scroll to the bottom, they'd sign, and then they'd hit submit. The next page, they'd pay their deposit. And so that's a seamless interaction, because if they had no questions, I would get notifications, Honeybook notifications, that would say, let me use a random name. Mallory Johnson. I doubt Mallory would ever see this. Mallory Johnson just inquired. Mallory Johnson just submitted a brochure. Mallory Johnson just signed her contract. Mallory Johnson just paid her deposit. And that would happen in like a sequence of minutes or an hour or whatever. And I'd see this notification. Now that time period sometimes is expanded. An inquiry would come in on a Sunday. They'd respond to the brochure on a Monday. They'd sign on a Wednesday and pay on a Wednesday. So either way, if they had no questions, there was a lot of times during this time period where I had no idea who they were remotely, especially if they didn't specify so in their inquiry form. I had no idea who they were, where they really came from, but they were walked through the experience, they were walked through the interaction well enough. We communicated well enough over this digital interaction, well enough for them to sign a contract and pay us without even speaking. Now, that wasn't happening in 2019. I was also DMing people in 2019. I was responding to text messages in 2019. I've been doing this for a while, and it wasn't until like 2020, 2021 that I realized that experience helps justify pricing. I remember when with our wedding photo and video company, I remember when we had our highest ticket booking, it was like $10,800, and we don't operate at high package prices right now. We've been in business for 5 years. We never really got into the market 10K and up. A lot of our brides, when we started out, were, I could call them barn brides that just appreciated that someone was there to be taking care of photography, that they were grateful that there was a photographer there. Our market, for the most part, grew off of that type of bride, who were grateful, Christian, graceful, joyous, down to earth, had some money to spend on photography, and they were just there to enjoy their day and get married. And so when we got our highest booking, it kind of like opened up my mind, because that seamless interaction with clients, I was like, oh, that's what it takes to get the $3,000 client. Like that interaction, the $4,000 client, whatever, that interaction. Over time, it turned into, oh, that's what it takes to get the $7,000 client, like the $8,000 client. I've had many, our average booking for photo and video is in the $8,000 range. And a lot of the clients we book photo video packages with, a lot of them, I don't know, my wife doesn't know. There's just a seamless interaction. They saw our social media, they went on the website, the brochure communicated, after they inquired, the brochure communicated with them properly, the contract was straightforward, they signed and submitted a payment. And I remember when it happened to like our highest ticket was like $10,800. And we hadn't spoke once with the client. We didn't have any conversation with them. And it really opened my mind up to the point that I'm teaching you right now. Pricing confidence comes from getting things in line, getting your Google, your website, your social, your CRM, all of that stuff. And it takes time to develop, but getting that in line helps weed out the people who don't want to pay for your service. I had some dude message us with that company, with the wedding company, 2.5 weeks ago over Facebook Messenger. I think he messaged my personal account. No, it was our business account, and I get the notifications on my phone for them. And he said, do you do weddings? He messaged a company that said TM Weddings, wedding photo and video, and he said, do you do weddings? That should have been the first red flag. And I said, yes. And he said, do you do wedding photo and video? And I'm just thinking, like, how we've developed our branding and our communication on all of our profiles and our website, whatever, so well. I really thought, how does this person miss this? So I said, yeah, we do weddings. We do wedding photo and video. You could check out I pushed them to our website. You could check out all of our information on our website. And we have our pricing and packages listed on our website. And the guy came back and he said, sorry, he needed photo and video. He said, $8,000 for photo and video is way too much. No, thank you. And he left. You're never going to escape some people who like your stuff and might not have, that says something about who that person was, by the way, too. They didn't read before DMing. They didn't read. I don't know if you want clients who don't read. So you're not going to escape that type of client from inquiring every now and then, but you can increase your pricing confidence if you get your stuff in a row. I took a lot of time on that point, but I just want to I hope that you take that and apply that to your business. If you don't have a professional URL, you need a professional URL. If you don't have a Google My Business page, you need a Google My Business page. If you don't have social media frequently posting, you need that. Content creation is key. You could do a 10-hour lesson on content creation. That's key. When I was developing my shoot and share strategy, I had committed to posting 365 days in a row, and I did. And I actually made a video on it that I never posted, and it was like a what I learned about posting 365 days straight. And our business, I'm running out of space on this whiteboard, but our business really, like, it compounded with our creperie business up in Jim Thorpe. We serve organic sweet crepes, organic savory crepes. We serve coffee, tea, bubble tea. There is a direct correlation between the frequency that we post and the business of people that come in and do business, that come buy crepes. there's a correlation between your content creation frequency and quality and the amount of people that see it, that know you, they learn about you, or they know you, and then they finally feel trustworthy. They've built trust and they want to do business with you. The frequency which you post on social media is super important. So get that stuff in line. Start there. Don't overthink it. And the third thing, really, I mean, it really ties into social media content creation, but it's client attraction. So, social media 101, content creation, that's going to help your client attraction compound like times 10. Like incredibly. If you want people to reach out to you, you need to be expanding your network and posting on social media. That's going to help client attraction. Now there's other things you can do. You could develop a referral program. We developed a super successful referral program with our clients. For our wedding photo and video business, we send out a welcome box, which is a part of our customer or our client experience. Inside the welcome box, they receive champagne and apparel and vendor recommendations and little props and whatever it may be. But inside that box is also a referral code. And there's a program breakdown that says if they refer us and if a client books us and shares their code, the bride and groom's code, with us when they book, they receive a bonus. They receive either $100 off their balance if they're a current bride or groom, or if they're a past bride or groom, they receive a print credit, whatever it may be. I think that referral program was responsible for maybe 75% of our sales. Maybe, who knows? Maybe just because it existed and human nature and, girls' friends doing, wanting to hire a vendor that they saw at their friend's wedding, and maybe it was just naturally going to happen anyway, but because the referral code was there, they used it. I don't know, but I think that it was a super successful program. So for client attraction, you can develop something like a referral program. And we also have a team referral program. If you're building out a team and you're working with multiple photographers, you can give your photographers referral codes to be able to share. Say they're double booked, say one of your team members is overbooked or they're just busy during a specific season, that photographer could share your referral code, and that photographer could get a $100 bonus or whatever for passing the lead on. In real estate, the referral system for agents to do business with one another is 30%. If you push along a lead that ends up generating you $10,000 just for referring it, you'll get three grand. So you have to get creative with how you want to attract clients. But if you're expanding your network, it'll happen naturally. And you expand your network in person and digitally on social media. That'll just happen naturally. That's something that just happens naturally. But if you're attracting a lot of people and you're not wearing your interview outfit, if you're wearing pajamas, all the leads are going to go out the window, right? I would call that weak positioning, right? You position yourself as cheap, as budget, as a creative, as a freelancer. You're not positioning yourself as a business. So you want to get known when people are getting to know you. You want to get known for the right thing. What is the right thing? The right thing is your niche, right? And photography is your industry, but you need to pick a niche within photography. You really want to make money. The reason I made subsector businesses under our media production brand was because I realized that the riches are in the niches. So pick a niche. Is it niche? Is it niche? I've heard it both ways. I'll say it interchangeably. You want to pick a niche. Because when you do so, you get a streamlined amount of inquiries for people who just want that. And it's easier to optimize the experience for that one type of lead, for that one type of person. For those who think maybe you're a photographer and you think you're invisible in a saturated market, right? If you feel like you're invisible in a saturated market, One, that's a freaking good thing if there's a saturated market. I just read a news article today that Meta is partnering with a company to train, to fully fund 4 weeks of technical training for people to come on and learn fiber optic installations for their data centers. And the reason they're doing that, there's only 2 reasons they could be doing that, is either the demand for AI data centers, is so high. They're paying 4 weeks of education, of training and education, 4 weeks. They're paying you to learn it so that they could hire you. That means the demand is so high, or they're projecting the demand to be so high. All that being said, if there's that many photographers in the market that you feel like it's a saturated market, that's a good thing, because it means the demand for photography is high. So if you're living in a local area where you feel like there's a lot of photographers, that's a good thing. It means there's a high demand for photography, or else there wouldn't be a lot of photographers. Now, it might go like this. Maybe there's a lot of photographers and none of them are doing business. Maybe most of them are struggling, who knows? The Pareto law, the 80-20 law, that in nature and humankind and all over the earth, the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, states 80% of outcomes or results come from 20% of the inputs. Now, in real estate, this means that 80% of the deals are done by 20% of the agents. At weddings, 80% of the alcohol is consumed by 20% of the drinkers. And on Earth, in America, 80% of all alcohol consumed is consumed by 20% of alcohol drinkers. In your life, 80% of your results can actually be achieved by 20% of your efforts. That's why they say do the most important thing at the beginning of the day with 20% of focused effort to create a life of 80% of your outcomes. So the Pareto principle is real. Yes, and the Pareto principle will state that 20% of the photographers in the area might be doing 80% of the business. But that's just encouraging, because it means if you get good at business and your product and your service rock, then you're going to do a lot of business. Who cares if there's a saturated market? If there's a saturated market, that should encourage you that so many people are willing to give it a try, right? Equipment is cheaper than ever, yeah. So how do you stand out? If anyone can just purchase equipment and call themselves a photographer, how do you stand out? Focus on your client experience. Make sure all your stuff is professional and seamless. If you can get there, you probably stand apart from a lot of other photographers. I can't stand when I see a photographer with a free URL. I would never hire that person. I would look at that person like a little school intern. I would. And if you're watching this and you have a free URL, I'm not hating on you. I'm just saying how I perceive photographers who are supposedly growing a brand but don't understand that they need to have a professional storefront. I would say a URL that says free Wix URL at jessicaphotography.com or whatever, I would say that's equivalent to leaving your tag on your clothes and going to a party. That's embarrassing. That's just silly. It just looks silly. I don't know why it's embarrassing. It just is. You don't want to do that. So, all that being said, if you have this crazy fear that there's a saturated market and because of it you can't stand out, you have to figure out how to stand out then. And it might be as simple as getting your business stuff in order. And it might be as simple as following pros who are growing and just studying what their work looks like in order to understand, oh, as long as my work looks at least close to this, I'll grow. I'll continue to have people interested in what I have to offer. And you should also study companies that are growing and study what makes them grow. What kind of business are they doing? Look at their reviews. See what clients see the positive feedback clients are leaving to get an understanding of, oh, if clients like X, Y, Z, if clients like having a seamless experience, they didn't have to have 30 conversations to learn something. If clients enjoyed having a timeline created for them, whatever it may be, figure out what that is so that you have that confidence in a saturated market. So if you need help, I would also say if you need help figuring this out, I can kind of help you with it. I've done business with a lot of creatives that really don't, it's very difficult as a creative to figure out like who you are and how you stand out. And I can help you with that. Just let me know. So for the most part, what I'm teaching you here with how to grow your photography brand really just revolves around getting more people to know you. Remember, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. About increasing your confidence when you're pricing your services, your product and your services. The only way to do that is to make sure that you have a professional client experience, that you look professional, right? And to increase client attraction, you got to do the right things. And most of it will revolve, as 2026, most of it will revolve around social media content creation. Most of it. You got to just shoot and share, and you'll get live feedback, actual live feedback. If you're growing after shooting and sharing, that's live feedback. Now, you could blame the algorithm if your stuff's not getting out there, and that's true to an extent. But before you go ahead and blame the algorithm, first get all of this stuff in order. Now, if all this stuff is in order, if you truly believe that all this stuff is in order, hit me up. DM me and say, hey, I watched your video. I didn't learn. I actually am applying everything you spoke about already. I am posting every day. I'm posting quality content every day. I have a Google My Business profile. I have a website. I have a seamless client interaction where they inquire on my website. I don't do business in my DMs. My clients inquire on my website. My clients get pushed to my CRM. My clients receive a brochure, my packages, they receive my contract. There's a seamless client question process to clear up any questions or whatever it is. I have all of this stuff in order and I'm still not growing. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to look at your stuff. I'd love to just see everything and say, and give you my opinion on what might be causing no growth. If you're going to events and you're meeting new people and you're posting consistently, and you're in a market where you're putting your prices out there and you feel like everything's good and it makes sense, and you're still not growing, I would personally love to chat with you and figure out what's going on. It might be the quality of your work. I'll be the one to tell you. If I'm the first one, I'm sorry, but it might be the quality of your work. It might be the experience you give your clients. Oh, another thing is clients love speed. Clients love speed. Why do you think Amazon grew? What's Amazon worth right now? Starting in a garage. $2 trillion. Do you know how many dollar bills is a trillion and it's worth two of them? $2 trillion starting in a garage because people love speed. People love speed. It's human nature. Instant gratification. Psychologically, it's like, of course I want the faster option. Give it to me now. So what does that mean for you? If someone inquires and you take 3 days to respond, that might suck. That might be why you're failing, why your business isn't growing. I remember in 2023, before we automated anything, and we ended up turning our automations off because they didn't feel human. We approve them and we manually enter some customized data, but I remember when we fully automated our processes across all of our businesses, I remember we were responding to every inquiry within seconds. Sometimes we'd have to approve them and it'd take minutes, but I remember having all of our notifications on our phone, just thinking like, oh God, I gotta respond. And if like 5 minutes passed, I'd be like, no, we lost the sale because I didn't respond in 5 minutes. It's kind of how you have to act. When you call a customer service center, how long do you want to wait on the line before you say you call your bank or you call a software company to troubleshoot an issue. Say you're just like calling someone because you need help. Say you call a supermarket to see if they have a an item in stock, how long before you start getting irritated do you want to be sitting on that phone? Is it a minute? Is it 5 minutes? You ever try calling the IRS? Any kind of government health care? You sit on the phone for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes. That's brutal. How bad do you want it? So the companies that have 24/7, you can chat right now if you wanted to, 24/7, they're growing. Those companies are growing. The ones that you call, they pick up pretty quick, they're growing. If you have to go through, press 1 for Bled, press 7 for Bled, press 5 for Bled, all to lead you to check our website for more information. Just like, that's not what humans like. So audit your client interaction timeline. How long are you taking to respond to calls? If someone calls, are you picking up right away? If they leave a voicemail, when are you calling them back? How soon are you calling them back? If they're emailing you, how soon are you emailing them back? If they're DMing you, how soon are you DMing them back? I would argue that it should be instantaneous. Only because I'm kind of psychotic, right? Psychotic. I think about myself and I think, how long would I want to sit for? When you call, oh, I love this. If you have an issue in your home and you need to call around and try to figure out, say your roof needs to be fixed or something. I've done this so many times. What was the most recent time I did it? It was a trash removal. We had been clearing our property out and we needed to get a dumpster onto the property. And I Googled dumpster rentals in my area. And like 7 businesses popped up. And I called all of them. I went down the list. I called all of them. And one picked up. I left voicemails on 2 of them. I don't even know if the other ones had voicemails enabled, but one picked up. And I'm pretty sure I went with that one. It's human nature. I'm pretty sure I went with the one that picked up, even though it might have been more expensive. Now, I'm not saying, depending on the genre of work, that, like, if you're doing events, for event photographers, there's a timeline that companies have built out with how they do things. Like, they're planning events, most times they're annual events, and most times there's monthly meetings and weekly meetings that different members from different departments all have to be a part of and give their notes in order to properly vet, and then there's a bidding process. And I recently won a bid for event coverage. It was last week we did it. I had two other shooters come out with me, and we were part of the bidding process, and I ended up finding out that we were the only media company that responded. They reached out to 3. So there was only 3 people, but we were the only ones that responded. And I heard that we were over budget. But the other 2 didn't respond. Is that the standard? Is that the bare minimum? So don't overthink business. Truly, what would a human want? Do you want to be sitting on the phone? Do you want to call someone and have them not pick up? The only reason you call 911 confidently, most places in America, 911 operators, the dispatch operators pick up. That's why you call them, because you know they're going to pick up. If they stopped picking up, you would probably stop calling. You guys get the point. So get your ducks in a line. If your ducks are aligned, you're still not growing, DM me, hit me up, literally text me. You can find my number. My stuff is pretty public. And I'll help you out. I'd love to help you out. But this is the game I got for you. Free game for you. I hope I did not miss anything. I hope that I was able to cover a lot of main points. But this isn't like textbook stuff. This is just like my experience. So it might not be taught at schools, at universities or whatever, but like this is how I grew. So that's all I really know. I didn't go to college for photography, but I grew a photography business. Every business that I grew, I used photography as a foundation in order to market it. And if you're comfy on camera, you really want to grow your business. If you're comfy on camera, start doing talking head stuff. Talk on camera. Post pictures of yourself working. Just get creative. I remember when every business that I've started, I've done giveaways online. It's just the easiest way to, who cares if you're giving stuff away and you gain, more people who know you, know your brand. Who cares? That's valuable. So do giveaways. Do a photo shoot giveaway. Do a print giveaway. Do real cash. Do Bitcoin. Get creative. Just do giveaways if you're comfortable doing that. I haven't done a giveaway in a while. I think I want to do some more giveaways. I might do a giveaway tomorrow. We'll see. So, all that being said, if you got something out of what I'm teaching you today, let me know. Pop it in the comments. Literally, tell me one thing you learned. And I'll tell you what, if you really want to grow psychologically, write down, even if it's not in the comment section, get a notebook and write down your intentions. The intentional succeed because they're taking things a step further beyond an idea in their head. And get super intentional about what you want. Be super clear about what you want. Matthew 7:7, ask and you shall receive. How are you supposed to get anything you want in life if you don't know what it is? So get super clear and super intentional about what you want, what you're trying to do. The main thing I learned that separates achievers, bare minimum achievers in this world, is some people do it the day beforehand, some people do it the morning of, but it's, did they write down what they're looking to achieve this day? Did they write it down? So with your photography brand, write down what you're looking to achieve. Get super clear. Are you looking to say you're getting super specific, are you looking to get more followers on your social media accounts? Are you looking to get more clients? Is there a dollar amount that you're looking to achieve? Are you trying to get to $50,000 in revenue a year? $100,000 in revenue a year? Also, it's important to know like the averages for a photographer. And I love that I just saw this today. This helps put things into perspective for you. How much money does a photographer make? Let's look at the data. As of May 2024, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the average annual wage for photographers was 55 grand. 55 grand, so that's the average. The median was 42 grand. Wedding-specific photographers earn above average, because weddings, it's a very exploitative industry. I mean, it's high stakes. For a bride and a groom, it's literally the most important day of your life. So obviously you want that captured properly. So pricing for photography and for film should make sense that it's super high. All the other vendors, I don't know. But photo and video, I could probably justify the high pricing. But $60,000 a year for wedding photographers is average. Among the full-time wedding photographers, 23% of them reported gross revenue over 100K. Gross. We all know what that means. And amongst all photographers, it's even less. Only 19% make over 100K. Wow. So most photographers are generating, this is a very cool post. Most photographers are generating between $40,000 and $60,000 gross a year. And only under 15% are making over 100K. So imagine 30% of your gross revenue goes to, what do they call it? The big guy? Uncle Sam? I mean, that'll just trailblaze into another lesson. It's actually the reason why I've diversified in business as a photographer. because while there is a lot of business to go around, your odds of succeeding financially are best when you can manage multiple photography businesses at once. Now that's just a huge ask. I don't think a lot of people can do that. And I don't think a lot of people should do that. But I realized in this industry, in the creative industry, photography, film, any kind of gig work industry, freelance industry, actually a lot of other industries too, like home service industries, landscapers and snow removal businesses. You have to realize that the phrase feast or famine is true, but the phrase there's a season for everything is also true. And in New York event photography, for some reason, the most popular time to host events is at the beginning of the year, January and February. There's a lot of fall events happen, a lot of summer events happen, but it's contrary to, you say, weddings, where it's like spring and fall are obviously dominant seasons. So you'll eventually, you will learn there's a season for everything. And even portrait photography, say you got into corporate headshot portraits. When do most people get corporate headshot portraits? If you had to guess. Would it be right before the new year? New year, new me? Starting a new job, maybe picking up, a new hobby or whatever. Needing a new LinkedIn photo. Beginning of the year. Everything else, you really just have to fight for it. So once you start building out your business, you'll learn that there is a season for everything. And there are things that you can do to improve your business. But you could be doing everything right in the wrong season and feeling like you're doing something wrong because you're not growing. But it takes time, or it just takes learning from other people's experience. It takes time to realize, we have the data in our CRM that says, for our wedding photo and video company, brides inquire in October, November, and December. Brides sign in January, February, March. Psychologically, brides are like, my wedding's this upcoming year, it's next year, I'm getting close, I need to start thinking about vendors, I gotta start inquiring. Then they get past some time, they're like, okay, let's sign. And that's recently, but that's changed over the years. It shifts. It's not always the same. And you have to be accumulating this data and looking at it and going, what does it mean? In order to be able to stay on top of things. After a while, the data will show the patterns, and being able to see the patterns, all of humankind has evolved from the best pattern recognizers, from those who recognize the best patterns. How else would we have lived this long if we wouldn't see a pattern of, notice a pattern disruption? Every time I walk past here, no one's here. Every time I walk past here, no one's here. Oh, now there's someone here and they look a little shady. Let me go across the street. Thank God, it was a robber. He had a gun. He was going to kill you and take your stuff. It's a pattern recognizing, pattern disruptor. So you have to take all the data when you're growing a business to be able to see it. You take all the data, you look at it, and then you use that data and say, hey, what does this mean? It means, let's focus more on marketing during these months because that's when most people are inquiring. Let's increase our social content frequency in July, August, and September because we know in October, November, and December, people start inquiring. That's what data helps you do. So you could be doing all the right things in the wrong time. And you could attribute it to zero brand growth, but it's really just seasonal. You want to learn about about things happening during the right season, study farmers, study farming. Truly. Everything in farming can be applied to business. And in fact, in life, it can imply a lot of farming principles can be applied to your life. You reap what you sow. It's a big lesson. How are you supposed to expect anything to come out of zero hard work? How are you supposed to expect any kind of client attraction and network expansion to come out of zero work put into it? Zero effort, zero energy put into those things. A farmer doesn't just go look at his field that he didn't plow and he didn't plant seeds in and go wait for things to grow. It's not what farmers do. They plow the fields and they plant the seeds and they go, all right, Lord, bring on the water. And you can't make it rain, but God can. So as long as you plowed and planted, after God makes it rain, he'll bring you some sales. I don't know what else to say, really. A lot in business can be learned from farming. So this was a lot of information. We covered how to grow your photography brand from my experience and a little bit more. If you want more, if you feel like you need a more in-depth conversation, DM me. I'm curious to learn about you. And while I can, I will continue having conversations with creatives and those who are growing their business that need help. But thank you for watching. I'm excited to hopefully hear positive feedback from this. And if there was something that I missed or something that you wish I covered, let me know. Give me some constructive criticism and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.